Alright, here we are, Canadian Junkyard. Okay, pro tip here. Hey everybody, welcome back to your favorite YouTube show, Fixing Random Crap with Craig. Today we are doing some work on the 08 Mercedes R350. Rear shocks are garbage. Picked up this car in November. It's currently early March. And even about a week after I got it, I noticed that this shock here, the left's rear, was leaking all over the place. It wasn't taking bumps well. Got underneath when I was putting on the winter tires, and really both rear shocks look terrible. Have progressively gotten worse. Put in the order. Got what I think is a great deal on these shocks here. Bilstein makes a great shock, from what I've learned on YouTube anyway, according to a lot of folks there. So sprung for the extra few bucks for that. These ended up costing, up here in the Great White North, as you can see, it's we're in the middle of a snowstorm right now. I don't know if you can see the snow falling, but anyway, the Mercedes-Benz dealer here was going to charge $440 each, plus installation. So I'm guessing that would have been probably a $2,000 job. $2,500 job to get them done. Managed to get these Bilsteins for $193 each. Anyway, it worked out to just under $440 for one. So hoping to be done the job for that. I'll take these out and show you once we're at that point. First step is I'm going to figure out how to get access to the bolts, the top bolts. So there's a few videos on YouTube about how to do this. I found one, but it was sort of in fast forward, and I don't know, it was maybe a 2-minute video with no audio explaining anything. And they got jacks involved underneath the car to be able to lift up the suspension and all that stuff. So I'm hoping to make this one a little bit more detailed as I go through and learn how to do this. And hopefully that'd be helpful for some folks out there. So the first thing I'm going to do is because there's two bolts that mount up around here on each one, the top two bolts on the shock. And I want to expose those bolts, figure out how to get to them, because I figure that's the biggest question mark, is how I'm going to get to those. So I'll start at it, and we'll let you know what I come up with. Okay, quick update. There was at least one video that said this thing can sort of be forced off, because the screws, I believe, are down in here. But the guy said he felt like he was breaking it, and he kind of did break it, but he's able to put it back together. So it seems like the main way to do this is to take off this whole panel here. Some of the Mercedes, you need to take this thing off first, because you need to get the whole floor out to be able to get access to the screws. But it seems like the R350, you just have to get this side panel off. So that's what we're working on now. So I've taken the weather stripping off to try and figure out whether I'm going to take it off here or here. I feel like here is where it actually separates as two different pieces. You can sort of see that. And then I took the weather stripping off over here. And there seem to be a few, it's hard to see a little bit, a few clips that we need to get some either some flathead screwdrivers into. I try to use these things first, these sort of panel tools, because they don't tend to scratch anything. Anyway, we're going to figure out now how to get that off. There's a Torx here. We're going to take that off next and see if we can loosen this up and get it off. Like I said, I think this is going to be the biggest pain, is getting the panels off, but fingers crossed. Okay, so taking out this here Torx nut from this piece was critical. As soon as I did that, I was kind of fiddling around in here and pulling just up in here and down there. It just sort of popped out. There's just these little clips here that hold that together. I already slid the seatbelt behind there. I can kind of see the screws now. Seatbelt's in the way. On their side, so the screws are there. I might try to see how big of a pain it is to release it on that other end, because if I get that whole piece of trim out of there, that might be much easier. Okay, she's almost off. Turns out there was another Torx right there that I hadn't noticed, and it's come off quite a bit better here now. These clips, I was fidgeting with these, trying to use a screwdriver. Basically, once that last Torx came out, which you can see through there, and he put a little bit of pressure on that. They pretty much released this one. There's 3. One here, one there that's still stuck to the thing, and one down at the bottom. And I think once I pull on this a little bit, it's just going to come out. Okay, so it's out now. It was a little bit caught on this thing, just that little piece of trim, so I needed to kind of get down the edge and push up to get it out of there. But she's all out now. There's the piece. It looks like from the other side. And when we look in here, we got access to our 2 nuts. I may need to trim that foam a tiny bit to be able to get at that. But okay, that's step 1. Yeah, let's jack her up. Okay, looks good. Now we'll take the wheel off. Okay, about to start taking this wheel off and forgot that I want the wheel touching the ground a little bit, because when I go with the breaker bar to try and take these screws off, the wheel moves. So I need it touching the ground a little bit, so we'll just lower it down a tiny bit until it touches. There it is, lock her back up. Put my glove back on, that jack handle is freezing. Ooh, that one's on there pretty good. Okay, pause. Okay, we ran into a bit of an issue with these bolts were incredibly over tightened, so gonna have to work on those with some penetrating oil, and I'm gonna get the air compressor up from the basement. But in the meantime, thought I would take off this other panel while I was on a roll. Came off very much the same way. Take off that internal panel, take out this Torx, take out that Torx, and then just grab it here and kind of try to pull. Take quite a fair bit of force to be able to pop it out from these panels here. But I wanted to point out on this side, you get some electrical connections, so it's gonna be hard to do with one hand, but I'm gonna just take those out and let them loose. And if anything is tricky or hard, I will note that in the next clip. Okay, so those were a tiny bit interesting to get off. The big white one there, that was just pulled off. There's nothing holding on that on. This black piece was in this slot here. You have to press down on the little tab right there in that spot where I've got the pliers. A little bit of pressure there, and it comes right out. And this red thing, I was like, what the heck is that? And it is actually, it seems like it's got the gas logo on, so it must be like some sort of way to pull the gas cap if it's stuck. And it was up here in this, I don't know if you can see that. Where's my camera? It's too dark there. Anyway, oh, right there. Yeah, there we go. So it was up in there. So you got to push it through, push it in, and then to get back to the thin part here, and then you can slide it out through there, back down. Now everything's disconnected, so I can loosen up those clips at the far end, and then this part will be out too. Not sure if I pointed it out on the other side, but you do need to pull the weather stripping again on this side in order to get access to these clips here. So it should come out easier now. Okay, we're all clear on both sides now. That was a bit of a pain, but it went better than I thought, to be honest with you. So we got access to those bolts on this side now too. And next step is let's see if we can get the wheel off. Got some of the air tools out, going to get the compressor, see if we can get those bolts moving. All right, so we've gone to plan B, which is to get the big old compressor up out of the basement. And we're going to see if the impact will do a better job on her. See if we get any action with this. I did spray it with some penetrating oil. Oh, got to send the air to it. Hold on now. All right, let's try it. Doesn't sound good. Doesn't seem to be helping. All right. I'll have to come up with more ideas. Might have to let the penetrating oil sit a little bit more, and we'll do a little research. Okay, folks, we're back. It's like a month later. The wheel lug nuts were way over torqued by the garage that had done it just before I got this car. Just when the car was handed over, the guy's mechanic put the wheels on, and I don't think he ever wanted them to come off ever again. So I had to bring it into to my shop to get them to take the wheels off. At the time, so I just switched this up to the summer tires since winter's starting to lessen its grip here. So I was able to get the tire off today. It is a 24 millimeter bolt. You'll see right there. I used this big breaker bar that my neighbor graciously lent to me to put on the nut right there. And my fingers touching. And then I took this was a 15/16. I got a ratcheter, and I was able to put that on the nut and get that off. So I generally just tried to get the nut off. And now, since then, I have come in and with my smaller jack and put that underneath the, right underneath the, whatever this is here, hold on, I think it's the lower control arm, so that when I take the bolt out, the suspension doesn't drop down. So it's going to hold that up, and then I'll be able to lower it down slowly. I think next I'm going to undo the screws at the top, which are back in here. Right there and there. You can kind of see those. It's kind of dark, but that's where they're. I'm going to take those out, and then I'm hopeful that I can slide this thing right out of there without having to take off this whole thing. So yeah, here we go. Let you know what happens next. Okay, another update here. The bolt, she's out. You'll see that the shock is almost out too. So I'll tell you what we did. We came around here. We used our ratchet. This is a 1/2 inch. Sorry, no, yeah, it was 1/2 inch. What's this one I used? 1/2 inch were these guys here. Those were able to spin out. Careful, there's a washer there too. I lost one in there. I'm going to have to go try and find it. So watch out for that. Then, once those screws were out, I lowered this jack down slowly, and I could see the shock sort of coming along with it. And I was able to get it most of the way out, but this like whole surround thing was causing a problem. So I took those 2 screws out of it. I left that one in, and there's another one over here. And I think that's going to allow me to take this thing right out, because it's almost ready to come out. I'm hopeful that I can get the new one in without having to take this whole thing off, but we'll see. Okay, more to come. There's the screw one, and sorry, like I say, once the I should have added, once I had removed the screws on the inside at the top of the shock, then I went down and I took this out, and it just slid right out, no problem. So then I lowered the jack. Now we're taking the shock out. Okay, old shock, new shock. One looks a lot shinier, that's for sure. And when I kind of do the test of grabbing this one here, the old one, and trying to push down on it, it's kind of hard to show, but and hard with one hand. Like it goes down and comes right back up quick. It's hard to get it going down. The new one is super smooth, so like, again, hard with one hand. Like it just goes down slow, comes back up slow as it should. Apparently that's a way to tell whether these things are finished or not. Another kind of just show you again. It's harder to get. It's really hard to engage it. Just kind of comes right back. So that one's finished. All right, now we're gonna try and put the new one in. Here we go. Okay, we're back. The new shock is in.
Hi.
Well, there's my helper. Yeah, all right, right on. So the new shock is in. I got a helper to go in the back in there while I put the new shock up, and they were able to kind of see it coming through the holes. Again, because I didn't take this thing off, it's a little bit hard to see where those holes are, but we were able to get it in there a lot easier than I thought. And then I held it as the person up there, as my wife put the nuts on. So there's a washer and a nut. I think I already mentioned don't lose the washer. I did find that other washer. I had a little magnet on a stick that was able to get it. And now what we're getting ready to do, as you can see, so it's screwed in at the top up there, but it's not lining up down there. So we're going to jack up the suspension again until it lines up so that we can slide our bolt through. And then we're going to be pretty much done. We're just going to be putting things back together here. Got to remember to put the 2 screws back on there. But we'll get to that in due course. Okay, more to come. Here we go. Okay, it's all jacked back up. You'll see if we look around here now. It's lined up. I gotta slide this over a bit. It just kind of slides out, but I use two hands. See if I go like that. It's lined up real good. So we're just gonna slide the bolt through, tighten her up again now. Okay, we're pretty much done. She's all tightened up there. Bolts on, all hand tight. I looked up the torque settings, and apparently, according to benzworld.org, for this car, it is on the bottom bolt 70 Newton meters, and on the two top bolts, oh, you found some gloves. I know, boy. And on the top bolts, 20 Newton meters. I've never heard of that. I know that my torque wrench does have that setting. I've usually used pounds per square inch, but anyway, that's fine. Just one sec, bud. I'm almost done. Yeah, I don't know. You're gonna help me finish up this video. But it does say specifically in the torque setting that it should be torqued. The bottom bolt should be torqued at normal ride height. So what I'm gonna do is put the wheel back on and lower it off the jack, and then we'll torque it, and then we'll be done. Move on to the next side. So that's it for now. We'll see you next time on Fixing Random Crap with Craig. Just one last thing, like putting these panels back in the next morning here. These guys are pretty interesting. So like, they have a little thin piece that slides into these wider slots here. So it slides right into the frame, and then this piece like bites on that. So this one, like when I took it off, this one had let go here. You know, it was kind of hanging down here or whatever. So I needed to slide it up to get it in that thing, and then I just took the end of a pair of needle nose pliers and like kind of just banged it in there once I got it in, and it snapped right in. And this one, the two bottom ones actually, had let go of the part here where it grabs on to this little lip here. And that just needed to get lined up well, and I found if I took the pliers and sort of pinched a little bit to get it lined up better, and then tap there, actually both of them just snapped in at the same time. So, yeah, I'll put back my weather stripper here. Okay, better look at one of these things. This one popped out as I was trying to do the panel on the other side. So you can see that this part is what grabs onto this. Threads in there. And then this part slides into this slot here. So let's see if we can just line it right up. There, just pushed in by hand. And then we'll use these to knock it down, slide it down a little bit. There we go. And then this guy, once you get it lined up. There, now it's lined up. Oh, ready to go. If I squeeze that, it should pop in. There. Back on. So that's all three of them. I'll put the weather stripping back on this side. Okay, I was about to report that everything's done, but I'm going to show you a mistake I made in hopes that you don't do the same. So I hadn't remembered whether these like went under or on top here. I tried jamming it in, but it didn't really fit that well. But I've got my answer because I just went to open this thing up and it's hitting on that. So let's take her apart again and I'll fix that up. Okay, now we've got it. Everything's in here. I gotta push this stuff back on. I'll fix it up after. Looking real good. So the trick is to get it in there first. Obviously connect it down there first. Then get this piece seated in down in this corner. And then there's two tabs. There's a tab like here that goes into this piece. It comes down about here and right in there. But there's another one I hadn't noticed on this side. And it's kind of right down in there. And if you push down on this and get that one in, then you can get this one in and then give it a smack. And they'll all click in. So that worked on both sides. I lost this piece somewhere along the way. I figure that's in the car somewhere. I'll find that next time I clean it. Another thing is that this luggage cover was a massive pain to get back in. Spent way too much time working on that. I'm going to do a separate video on that one. But anyway, that's it. You know, the shocks are done. Did a test drive. Feels real good. Big improvement for sure. You know, I would say the first shock took me, you know, a couple hours probably, just based on needing to borrow some tools and, you know, like the bit because the socket because it's a 24 It was a 24 millimeter on that bottom nut. I had to go borrow one of those from a friend and all that stuff. But when I went to do the second one, like, it took me under an hour to do it. So, you know, saved a ton of money on this one, and got a chance to do it on my own, which, you know, was actually kind of fun. And it's riding way better. So that's it for now. See you next time on Fixing Random Crap with Craig.